All right. Welcome to another edition of Shabbat Lounge. This is Matt.
And Jake here.
We are coming to you with another edition of Sabbath Lounge. Isn't that what we do here, Jake?
That's what we do.
Well, we appreciate that you came along today. And Jake, what do we need them to do?
Like and subscribe and share with your friends, and go check us out on all the social sites look for Sabbath Lounge and spread the word.
Spread the word. You might consider, if you are someone who reads the Torah portions like we do, Jake, what do they do with the Torah portions?
Read them. And then you can check out when we post our hot takes on the Torah portions every week. So you can follow along with that if you would like, and throw some comments in there.
Yep. So we'd love for you to do that, and also we'd appreciate if you give us some kind of icon, maybe a frowny face or something for this particular episode.
Oh, that would make sense
in the comments, or something that looks like that to you, because today's topic is Yeshua hates.
Ooh, that's a bad word, Matt.
Yes. Definitely, a lot of people immediately are going to take upset. Could possibly be upset by us saying that Jesus hates something.
Yes,
but we're going to take a look at some scriptures, and this is going to be a two-part series, or at least we think it's two parts. Maybe it's more, but we're going to try to put it in two pieces, and then we're going to talk about the Nicolaitans.
Right. So so we're leading somewhere, you're telling us.
That's right. So
Okay.
This is just kind of pointing you to understanding the concept that, yes, there are things that God or Yeshua hates.
Right.
So we're going to take a look at these, and many of these do come from the Old Testament. So, but anyway, we appreciate your time, that you're willing to hang out with us for a few minutes and take a look at these things, and the internet has crawled to a halt. So,
well, I'm sure it's still going.
Some of our moving backgrounds may not work properly, but
hey, there it goes.
Yeah,
action.
It'll be fine. All right,
so you kind of hinted at it.
Okay.
So do you think that Yeshua and Yahweh would have different opinions on certain things?
No, I believe they're the same. I and the Father are one.
Right. So I think if Yahweh hates something, Yeshua also hates something, right?
Yep. I don't think there would be, but I do think it's kind of interesting, because there was a guy named, fact check me on this, but I think his name's Marcion, and Marcion taught that there was a God of the Old Testament and a God of the New Testament. I'm pretty sure they burned him for that. But in essence, that's what many people believe today. They literally, now they may not say they believe that, but if they describe what they believe, it's kind of what they would describe, is that the Jesus of the New Testament is all about love, Jake. He just loves everybody. It's just love, peace. It's all about love. What is that thing? Love is love.
That's true. Very yes, very I don't know. That's very detailed definition you got there.
Love is love. But you see a lot of people talking about that, and put him in that classified, that he just loves everybody. And I think that there are many scriptures that would say that there are things that he hates. And amongst those things, unfortunately, sometimes some of these are people and the things that they're doing.
Yep. I think, we'll see kind of where that goes.
Yeah. So, so let's take a look. And there's going to be a lot of Old Testament here. So something happened. We went backwards, Jake.
Oh.
So we went back in time. We got a time machine. So now we're back. So, all right, the first one, Jake, would you read Deuteronomy 12:31?
Thou shalt not do so. Thou shalt not do so unto Yahweh thy Elohim, for every abomination to Yahweh which he hates have they done unto their gods, for even their sons and their daughters they have burnt in the fire to their gods.
All right, so clearly, we've got the box going around hateth.
Hateth.
And the old King James here. So, and then you've got hate and abomination side by side here. So, what is it that they're hating so bad that these people are doing?
Well, one of the things is this burning their children in the fire to their gods.
Yes.
That
Yeah.
sounds like something that he would hate, right?
Yeah, yeah. And so, this would be tie into many of us who believe abortion is wrong. This is one of the scriptures that tell you Yah's character, and he is saying it's easy to deduce that he also thinks it's wrong.
Yeah, he doesn't like you sacrificing your sons and daughters, basically.
Yeah. So that makes sense that he would hate that. Anything
Yes.
else?
I mean, it's pretty straightforward.
Yeah. And that's the way I think a lot of these are. But and then we've got a lovely image of the Statue of Liberty, and this is Deuteronomy 16:22. Neither shalt thou set thee up any image which the Lord thy God hateth. So once again,
So there's these images that he might hate this is probably tied to some sort of graven image.
yes, Ten Commandments, idolatry sound familiar.
Right.
So, and we did no coincidence that we put the Statue of Liberty up there. Jake, do you think Statue of Liberty is a graven image or an idol?
It sure doesn't seem like it isn't.
yeah, yeah. Yeah,
Did I parse that well enough?
yes, you did. So if you've never researched the Statue of Liberty to see who this person is, you should. You should look at some of these things if you've never studied some of the American symbols. And unfortunately, you will find idolatry is all around us. And unfortunately, even in the great state of Texas, on top of our capital, we have basically some kind of goddess that sits on top of it. And almost every capital has something like that.
They're everywhere.
That's right. So it's, as a kid, that was one of those things I always thought, well, that was a long time ago. People don't do that today. Well, turns out they do.
Seems like.
Yep. All
As
right.
it
So
were.
clearly hates that. And then read this one, Jake, Psalm 11:5.
Yahweh tries the righteous, but the wicked and him that loves violence, his soul hateth.
So people who love violence. So do you think that that is um, someone who has, like we read in the Old Testament about Joshua? There's some of his stuff seemed kind of violent. Does that mean Joshua loved violence?
I think doing violence and loving violence are different things.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
And we can't say that Joshua was wicked either.
Right.
So I think it's important to understand that he's talking about people that have wicked intentions. Do you think that has to do with what's in their heart or just their physical manifestation?
Probably both. I think if you want a really good dichotomy between wicked and righteous, read through Psalm 119 is a very good place to see that difference. And sometimes it's actions, sometimes it's in their hearts. So.
Yeah. If we talk about how Yah looks at our heart, and we talk a lot about the good side of this. That when we follow His ways and do the things He's asked us to do, even if we've maybe not done everything perfect, especially following Torah, we could have calendar and dates and all kinds of things off, but we know that He looks down and He sees our hearts, He sees our intent, and He's pleased. The opposite is also true. Unfortunately, the people that are wicked, most of the time that is just a reflection of the darkness and what's inside.
Right.
So.
Yeah, and you can parse this correctly in Scripture. The difference between this love of violence and just violence in general. You can find that difference because some of the commands, the punishments for breaking certain commands are violent.
Yeah.
And so, yes, he does not love the act of violence, but it is necessary sometimes. And the people just, doling out the violence of punishment. I mean, even him at the end, in the end times, will be doling out a lot of violence.
Yeah.
But he does not love doing that.
Yeah.
And that's kind of the point there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. All right. So let's see what else he hates. So Psalm 101 in verse 3. Will you read this one?
I will set no wicked thing before my eyes. I hate the work of them that turn aside. It shall not cleave to me.
So he hates the work of them that turn aside. What does that mean? He hates the people that turn aside.
Well,
I sleep on my side.
I mean, I'm a side sleeper myself. I'm kind of a fetus sleeper.
Are
I,
you?
I sleep in a
figured you were.
ball,
I figured that would be you.
but but especially when it's cold out. But yeah. So this is turning aside from the path, right? The straight and narrow path, turning aside from righteousness. What we would call it'd be what you're repenting from.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
You're turning aside from going toward him to going one of the other infinite paths that don't lead to him.
And it's definitely people who are making a choice. They've
Right.
deliberately gone, you know what? I am not doing this. And so it almost implies somebody that may, for a minute, either walked on the path of good or were exposed to what was right and they've chosen to go against it.
Yeah. So here he says, he hates the work of them that turn aside. So you get a lot of, well, hate the sin, love the sinner. Well, go back one if we can. The wicked and him that loves violence, his soul hates. So right here, he's saying he doesn't love the person in this case. Well, at least if he loves them, he also hates them. So it's
Well, and I think it's one of those things. He does hope and he wants all people to be saved, but sometimes when they've made the choice, he talks in the New Testament about how people are given over, and at some point he literally just gives them over to their own terrible heart and desires, and yeah, they just eventually he's like, whatever, you clearly don't want to do this, so have at it.
And you've Romans 1 to yourself.
Yeah.
Right.
So, but yeah, we are not saying that he
hates everybody.
No. So he wants people to, just like he says, I would rather obedience than sacrifice.
Right.
And so he wants our obedience. He
Right.
doesn't want to see us suffer the consequences for our wickedness. Because most of this, that's what it is. It's just the consequences
Right.
when you don't do what he asks. All right, so we'll move on. This is Proverbs 6:16 through 19. So I think this scripture has often been used.
Right. These 6 things does Yahweh hate, yea, 7 are an abomination unto him: a proud look, a lying tongue, and hands that shed innocent blood, a heart that devises wicked imaginations, feet that be swift in running to mischief, a false witness that speaks lies, and he that sows discord among brethren. Man, oh man, I see a lot of this stuff going on. Just like we mentioned earlier, the shedding of innocent blood. I mean,
Yeah.
a baby never did anything to anybody.
Mm-mm.
And there's plenty of that running around.
And what's scary, I don't know about you, but when I look at this, there's some things that this is scary in a lot of ways, because some of these are not hard to do.
Right.
Some are like big, and yeah, I'm not
Obvious, yeah.
It's pretty easy to not go around and kill babies. That's not hard to do.
Right.
I can do that pretty well without any help. But these other things, some of these other things are heart issues. A proud look. Have I ever looked at someone proudly in traffic? Yeah. I mean, that's I think that could mean a lot of things, but it's definitely not something that.
Yeah, like anytime you think higher than yourself than you
Yeah,
should. I
yeah.
mean,
And think about in traffic so many times when, like if you're going 70 down the road and somebody passes you going 90, you're like, "Oh, you maniac."
right.
And but if you're the one in a hurry, then it's different.
Yeah.
But that to me is kind of like even a proud look. But the lying tongue, I mean, we definitely have maybe sometimes said things, and maybe sometimes with good intentions, but still, lying is lying.
Right.
So,
And
and
and what young boy did not have feet that were swift to run to mischief?
oh yeah, 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 and so and sowing discord
Oh,
among
that's
brethren.
easy to
So
do.
yeah, that is pretty easy. So, but anyway, and it's interesting too because here you have this other section, this quote from Proverbs in the Old Testament, and we don't often, we came along and we looked at the words that Yeshua said in the New Testament, like, oh, it's all about what's in the heart, but it was always kind of like that, and so these issues all go back to what's in your heart, and you don't do these things if there's not something bad in there.
Right.
So, but anyway, and we don't know why it says six things and then says yay seven. We don't know. Maybe if you know, let us know.
It's a conundrum.
All right. So this image alone looks interesting. So it looks like sparklers, maybe.
Hey, it looks like I don't know.
So
Doesn't look good.
yep, doesn't look good. So Isaiah 1:14, your new moons and your appointed feast my soul hateth. They are a trouble unto me, and I am weary to bear them. So Jake, do you think he's talking about, those of us that are keeping, Torah pursuant? Is he talking about Sukkot, and is he talking about Passover and these things, or what do you think? What do you think he's talking about here?
So when you look at the actual, situation he's dealing with, this is in Isaiah 1, and he's going through a whole list of things that his people have turned aside from his ways. And uh, let me just read verse 13 here real quick, and it'll kind of give a little bit of an idea here. Bring no more vain oblations. Incense is an abomination to me. The new moons and the Sabbaths, the calling of assemblies, I cannot away with. It is iniquity, even the solemn meeting. So, is it breaking the Torah to keep Sabbath? No.
No.
He's saying that they're doing all this stuff in vain. They're doing it to check boxes. They're doing it to get candy out of the candy machine, basically. They're doing it just to they're not doing it for the right reasons. It's not in their heart to do it. They're just doing it because of either tradition or to get blessing. Like, in order to get blessing, oh, we'll do this, and then Dad will give us some candy. Or they're doing it, and as well as other things that he has already stated that he hates, that are abhorrent to him. So he's that's why he hates what they're doing, because they're mixing it with not being obedient.
Yeah, it's definitely about people that have lost their way. And so we realize, I know you can hear these pages turning, we realize that we have, we've not intentionally cherry picked these scriptures. That's not what we're trying to do. And we don't like it when we see other people cherry pick scriptures. And we do say you should search the scriptures yourself, and you should go back and read these in context and see what they're talking about. But
Otherwise, we'd have a channel of just us reading the Bible to you.
yeah, yeah. So, and the point is, there are clearly things that he hates, and so and so if you go look at Isaiah chapter 1, even in Isaiah 1:3, it says, the ox knows its owner and the donkey its master's manager, but Israel does not know, my people do not understand. And he talks about how they're a sinful nation, weighed down with iniquity, offspring of evildoers, sons who act corruptly. They've abandoned the Lord. They have despised the Holy One of Israel. They have turned away from him. So, you know, and then it just talks about they kind of like what you had mentioned, they inside their hearts were rotten, and they weren't doing the heart part. They weren't really circumcised in their heart, and they were doing these physical things, but they were like meaningless,
Right.
because their hearts weren't changed.
Yeah. Like if your kid comes up and slaps you in the face and then goes, "Oh, here, but I got you a drink of water. Here, Dad."
Yeah. Yeah.
No, go sit in timeout.
Yeah.
Let me
No thanks.
let me give you quite the swatting.
Yeah. So just go back and read that in context if you've never seen that. So we don't believe it's talking about necessarily what we're doing today, but the warning is that can happen to us.
Right.
And so, we can go through the emotions, and we put our faith and our trust in this work or this thing, but if our heart isn't right and our heart isn't changed and isn't the way He wants it to be, then you're just kind of wasting your time. You
Right.
might as well do something different.
Yep. You've then, blocked your view of Yah with your works, with your check boxes.
Yeah, and many times people go after us and they say we're all about works. It's all about our works, and no, it is about the heart.
Right.
Where's your heart in this? But anyway, so clearly He did not like the way they were doing it.
No.
So we'll move on, and then Isaiah 61 verse 8. I think this one also shows you a little bit more of some of the background of things that are happening. And he says, "For I, Yahweh, love judgment. I hate robbery for burnt offering, and I will direct their work in truth, and I will make an everlasting covenant with them."
Wait, He loves judgment?
That's what it says.
You stop judging everyone, Matt.
I don't know. Too much judging. So hate robbery for the burnt offering. So, definitely another thing that He hates.
Yep.
And then Jeremiah 44, 3-5.
Because of their wickedness, which they have committed to provoke me to anger, and that they went to burn incense and to serve other gods, whom they knew not, neither they, yea, nor their fathers. Howbeit I sent unto you all my servants, the prophets, rising early and sending them, saying, Oh, do not this abominable thing that I hate. But they hearkened not, nor inclined their ear to turn from their wickedness, to burn no incense unto other gods. So burning incense to other gods. That's bad news.
Yeah. And they didn't even care, basically. They're like, whatever.
Yeah, they're not listening.
Didn't even care. They knew that
He sent them people to tell them, "Hey, stop doing that." And they're like, "Forget that noise. I'm doing what I want."
Yep. All right, and then Hosea 9, 14-16.
Give them, O Yahweh, what wilt you give? Give them a miscarrying womb and dry breasts. All their wickedness is in Gilgal, for there I hated them. For the wickedness of their doings I will drive them out of my house. I will love them no more. All their princes are revolters. Ephraim is smitten, their root is dried up, they shall bear no fruit. Yea, though they bring forth, yet will I slay even the beloved fruit of their womb. Dadgum.
Yeah, that sounds pretty rough right there. So he clearly...
That's some strong language.
Strong language. And does it read like he hates someone, like a people group?
It sure reads like that.
Yeah.
I will love them no more.
Yeah.
But, I mean, it says you can't be separated from his love. Right? in the New Testament. I hear that verse a lot.
Right, he can't be separated, but
You can't contradict. It has to work together.
yeah.
So that not being separated from his love, there must be more to it.
Definitely more to this.
We would
for
encourage
sure.
you to look deeply into that.
And then also there's also other scriptures that we don't have in there about how he's patient and long suffering. So for him to get to this point, it took a really long time.
Right.
In multiple generations. And he did send prophet after prophet after prophet, and mostly they killed the prophets or didn't want to listen
Right.
to them. And and so it took him a minute to get here. It's not like he went 0 to 60 instantly and it was like, I'm done with you people.
Right.
It
But
took a long time.
I think a lot of times people like hone in on this kind of stuff and go, well, Old Testament God is vengeful.
He scares me.
And whereas New Testament is love. So it's, yes, he has some pretty hard smack talk for these people.
Yeah.
But Yeshua does too. He has some
Yeah.
smack talk he drops too.
Look at Revelation for starters.
Right.
When he comes back on the horse.
And so there's both sides of it. We're just saying don't neglect one side and make him a one-dimensional, idea.
Yeah, that's right. So we'll move on to take a look at what does he hate. Amos 5:20 through 22 says, "Shall not the day of Yahweh be darkness and not light, even very dark and no brightness in it? I despise your feast days, and I will not smell in your solemn assemblies. Though ye offer me burnt offerings and your meat offerings, I will not accept them, neither will I regard the peace offerings of your fat beast."
I was hoping you'd read that right. But yeah, this is similar to the one we read in Isaiah. He despises their feast days. He hates and despises their feast days. And he won't even smell in your solemn assemblies.
Yeah. So don't you think that's talking about the fragrant aroma of the sacrifices?
I see him he walks into the temple and plugs his nose.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, I'm not even gonna smell it.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's has to do with their disobedience and their hearts have been turned far from him.
Yep. And then more famous Amos 6:7-9.
Therefore, now shall they go captive with the first that go captive, and the banquet of them that stretch themselves shall be removed. Yahweh Elohim has sworn by himself, says Yahweh Elohim of hosts, I abhor the excellency of Jacob, and hate his palaces. Therefore will I deliver up the city with all that is therein. And it shall come to pass, if there remain 10 men in one house, that they shall die.
So abhor, hate, kind of similar concept. If you abhor, to me, abhorring something is maybe a little stronger than hate. I mean, because it's like, this is a little more serious. Hate is pretty serious in itself, but when you abhor something, I mean, it's
like a
really
visceral hate.
Yeah.
So here's just a quick aside here. What is this? I abhor the excellency of Jacob. Did he go and say, hey, Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, hey, Abraham's grandson, I hate your good deeds?
He was definitely not talking about Jacob, the son, but of the people group.
Right. He's talking about the group of Israel here.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And so, and it's not their good deeds he hates. He hates that they are not loving him in their heart. Mm-hmm. And even their good deeds aren't enough to save them.
Yeah.
It's their faith that saves them. But their faith has led them, their lack of faith has led them astray from their walking out of the obedience part.
Yeah, their hearts kind of had turned away, and it showed. Zechariah 8:16-17.
These are the things that you shall do. Speak you every man the truth to his neighbor. Execute the judgment of truth and peace in your gates. And let none of you imagine evil in your hearts against his neighbor. And love no false oath. For all these are things that I hate, says Yahweh.
All right. So I guess some of this he's saying the opposite. He doesn't hate the truth, but he hates it if you don't speak the truth to your neighbor. And if you don't execute judgment of truth and peace at the gates. So once again, there's this judgment thing here. So he's not happy that they haven't judged that. And to me, that too is such a principle that we failed sometimes to apply to our own homes. And we need to be careful who we let in our home and what we let in our home, from obviously from TV, music, to even people. Sometimes you just don't let everybody go through your gates.
Right. And he says, these are things you shall do.
Mm-hmm.
And then he brings back the opposite here.
Yes.
Don't. And then he says, don't do these evil things.
Yeah. So it's like a contrast.
Yep.
Of kind of a comparing contrast between these two concepts. 16, the things that you do, and then 17, what you don't do. Yeah, it's good. Clearly, he continues. A lot of hate here, Jake.
A lot of hate.
So Malachi 1:3, and I hated Esau and laid his mountains and his heritage a waste for the dragons of the wilderness.
See, there were dragons.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Dragons.
Exactly.
Yeah.
See?
Yeah, right there.
That's
Dragons.
what this whole series is going to be
About the
about.
dragons. But definitely this is a person that he hated, and also a people group, the Edomites. There's a whole long track history if you've never studied Esau and the Edomites, and how they continued and tried through history to usurp the authority from the people that it was supposed to be on. Yeah, I hated all of that.
Yeah.
And then more. Malachi 2:16.
For Yahweh, the Elohim of Israel, says that he hates putting away. For one covers violence with his garment, says Yahweh of hosts. Therefore take heed to your spirit that you deal not treacherously. So don't put your stuff away. I leave it all laying out.
Just leave it all out.
Yep.
So
yeah, the point is don't cover up your bad deeds. Let them, let the light make manifest the dark.
Yeah.
So
yeah, and that's another one. We did kind of just pluck it out of Malachi. You'd have to go read the context, but the point is there's a long list of things here that Yah hates.
Right.
As we continue, Romans 9:13, as it's written, Jacob I have loved, but Esau I hated.
Yes, and we saw that in our couple verses ago there.
Yep, just a quote from that. And then what does he hate? Revelation 2:6. Jake, would you read this?
But this thou hast, that thou hatest the deeds of the Nicolaitans, which I also hate.
Okay, so Nicolaitans, he hates them. And he's not saying he hates them here. It does say he hates the things that they do.
The deeds of, yes.
So I don't know about you, Jake, but whatever this Nicolaitan thing is, I don't want to be a Nicolaitan.
I don't want to do Nicolaitan.
Nope, say no to Nicolaitans. We'll put that on a bumper sticker. We'll be selling that for $6.99 a piece.
Oh, yeah.
Say no to the Nicolaitans. I think that'll be a pretty hot item.
Hot item, yes.
Yes, we'll have a hard time keeping that one on the shelf.
Right. So if you go to our shop and you don't see it there, that's why.
It's all sold out.
It's all sold
so it's not even any point in putting them up there. So
Yep, look, it's all sold out.
So and so this, we're getting towards the whole purpose of this first part of, things that Yeshua hates, and we wanted to establish that he hates that God and Yeshua both hate the same stuff, and going into the next part of the episode, we're going to talk about who the Nicolaitans are.
Right.
But we know that he hates them and hates what they do. So Revelation 2:15, Jake.
So hast thou also them that hold the doctrine of the Nicolaitans, which thing I hate.
So the doctrine of the Nicolaitans.
So the deeds and the doctrine,
yes,
is what he hates.
Yep. So definitely, when you think of doctrine, what do you think of?
I think of I think of Torah as good doctrine.
Yeah.
So it's the doctrine is going to be your compass, basically.
Well, I think of like religion or your, whatever it is
your
that
ideology.
you're believing.
Yeah.
So this belief system. So, it's their deeds and this entire belief system that
it's like your mission statement, kind of.
Yeah. So it's worthy to spend our time. If he hates something, I think we should know why he hates it, and we should study it to make sure that we don't do the very thing that they did
that he hates.
So that's why we're here, is we want to make sure that we understand who the Nicolaitans are and why we also should hate their deeds and their doctrine.
Right.
So that's where we're going to kind of wrap it up and end it. So this is part 1 of Jake. Guess what? There's some things that Yeshua hates.
Indeed, there are.
And so we're going to take a look at the Nicolaitans, and we hope that you come back and that you listen to the second part. And if you made it all the way this far, you are amazing and you are a super fan, and we appreciate you.
We appreciate all of our super fans. That's correct.
That's right. And we appreciate comments and when you drop in little icons there, and I think it makes sense if you drop in some kind of frowny face or something that would represent hate.
Yeah, give us a lot of thumbs downs on this.
No, we don't want thumbs down. Give us thumbs up, like, subscribe, comment, all those things. So.
Oh, yeah, I don't do this social media thing too well, do I?
No. All right. Well, I think that's about all I have. Jake, what else?
I think that's about it.
All right. Well, this is Matt and
Jake
signing off. Thank you for being here.